hiring one position is often more than just that one position. What you're actually doing is building a team. So maybe this position is the final piece, maybe it's the first piece, maybe it's somewhere in between. Ben, you're a CTO and you've built your current team starting from scratch, right? You were the first
Absolutely.
dev. There was nobody else
Blank
there.
slate.
So I want to ask you, what's the most important thing you think that people should keep in mind when they're building their dev team?
I love building teams. I think it's the most rewarding part of managing software teams. I
Hmm.
think the most important thing is to hire the best people, all around
Okay.
people, and not just the flashiest or most impressive developers you can find. If
Oh,
you take
interesting.
a shortcut on the quality of the person you're hiring, it's going to bite you. You should be prioritizing the people who are going to have the same values and qualities that you're looking for, who are going to work well with you and the rest of your team and the rest of your company. And it's not exactly secondary that they can code properly,
Seems
but
important.
that's also important. But don't take a shortcut on the quality of the person just because of their skills or abilities or background.
Quality of the person, that's a big phrase that could mean a lot of different things, right? So you talked about values, right? So having
Right.
that kind of alignment on values. What else is sort of on your list of like, okay, if I'm, because we're sort of taking as a given, we think this person is going to be a good coder, is going to be a good
Hmm.
developer. Maybe they have the experience, but like if you're sort of comparing one versus another, trying to figure out who to hire, I'm guessing there are other things other than values that might be on that list for you.
Right. So besides values, I like to work from a core set of, sorry, I'm going to go back to values.
That's okay.
I like to work from a core set of values that are important to me and my team. Like we've collectively identified, these are the kind of things: hardworking, creative, problem solving, that kind of
Okay.
generic set of values. But also for developers, outside of that, I look for empathy. I'm looking for empathy
Mm,
with users, with colleagues. I'm looking for someone who is humble, who can accept direction from me or a teammate in a PR or a team member outside of our development crew that's giving them some difficult feedback about how our software is operating, or from a user who's frustrated or is struggling with our software. I want them to be humble about what we've built and empathetic with that user or that colleague so they can actually help them solve their problem, not get all uptight about what they've built.
so that sort of alignment in values, that sort of, you're looking for characteristics in people, maybe assuming, and I don't want to jump to conclusions here, maybe assuming that you'd rather have a better fit on the value side, on the sort of like what kind of person you think, what kind of personality even they may be bringing to the team,
Mm-hmm. That
versus
personality is huge. Yeah.
versus just a straight up, oh well, they check every single box off, including all of my like nice to haves, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that matters. It's just not that simple, right?
Mm-hmm. I would say that fit their character and how they'd fit into the team is a non-negotiable. That's one of those
Okay.
boxes I have to check,
Yeah.
along with technical non-negotiables. And it's just not something I think you should take a shortcut on, where you might know, okay, I can train this person in this particular stack. They've got decent overlap with it. If you don't have a character overlap, if there's a big personality clash, you're just not going to overcome that. I don't think that's something you'll be successful in.
And so when you were putting your team together, how aware were you of your own limitations and your own
That's
strengths,
a
and
great question. Yeah.
trying to sort of supplement that with the team? Were you thinking about that going into it, where you're like, okay, I know the stuff that I maybe
Hmm.
struggle with, or the ways that I like to work versus don't like to work, and were you looking for that specifically?
Yeah, 100%. And I'd recommend that. I think that's been something that's been successful for me.
Yeah.
Knowing what your weaknesses are, where you need to backfill, and then also the weaknesses of your team. So where can you fit someone in instead of just having cookie cutter people who are very similar, people who have the same skill set, the same background, finding a way to fit them in to build up the whole team. You have to be willing to be humble. Um, I love hiring people who are smarter than me, who know things I don't know. And I want people who are going to be able to teach me and other people on the team the things that they don't know. So, absolutely be aware of your weaknesses. Look for people that are fitting in those missing pieces for yourself and for your team.
That's one of the real strengths of actually trying to have a diverse team, right? Diverse means a whole
Right.
lot of things. It's like different ways of looking at problems, different experiences. all the things so that it's not just because otherwise, which if you just hire people who are just like you,
Right.
you've compounded all the things you're good at and all the things that you're bad at, and
Mm-hmm.
you've sort of put a cap on what your team can be.
Right. You have a little more bandwidth in producing things like you would produce them, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to be lacking in other areas. You'll tend to solve problems the same way. You will think about users the same way. You have the same background, either technically or culturally or geographically. You'll just have a lot of the same biases that you personally have if you create a bunch of mini-me's, people that are very similar to you. And I think it can be tempting to look for people who are similar to you because it's easier to get along with them. You have more in common. I think it's really important to hire people from a diverse range of backgrounds, not just technical, but cultural or geographical. If you only hire people that are like you, it might be tempting to say, like, I'll get along better with them. Maybe they'll be more deferential because we have more in common. But you're going to create a lot of the same problems that you aren't solving yet. So going through the effort of hiring people with more background, more diverse backgrounds, and finding ways to work with them and empathize with them is going to result in higher quality output from your team. You're going to be creating software that is more relatable to more users, that's empathetic towards a larger slice of the world's population, and just have a better understanding of the problem space that you're working in,
Yeah.
since you won't have a narrow set of biases and background.